I had a similar crisis of faith in my life. You might not think it's the same as Thomas's, but I put it right up equal level. I was probably about 12 or 13, and I'd gone to my grandparents' house with my brother, and it was opening season of deer hunting, opening day of deer hunting, and it was a youth season, so you had to be under a certain age to be able to go hunting that day, and opening day was a really, really big deal for me and my brother. And it also happened to fall on a very interesting weekend. And so my brother and I were there at my grandparents' house. My parents aren't there. It's just my grandparents. And which, by the way, grandparents are awesome. My dad likes to say all the time that grandkids are way better than kids. So I'd like to exact my revenge right about this moment and say grandparents are way better than parents. Way better. They are way better. If you have grandparents in your life, honor them today. They are the best. I love grandparents. I adopt grandparents sometimes. I just hear about stuff. They're like, yeah, we have all this, for years we've gone to the same cruise liner and we have all these bonus points. I'm like, you could be my grandparents. I'll go with you. It's fine. I want to do this. So we're there, and I told my brother, I said, I don't want to mess this up. I don't want to miss opening day. This is very important. And so let's set our alarm for about an hour earlier than we normally would. And he goes, good idea. I like that. Well, about that time, my grandfather walked in. He said, hey, I just want you guys to know this is daylight savings time weekend. And we were like, well, what does that mean? And he was like, I don't really know, but the time changes. It changes somehow. And we're like, oh, great. Well, this was in the fall, so the time would fall back. The time would go backwards and not spring forward, but we didn't really know that. We were like, what if it springs forward instead of falling back and we adjust the wrong direction? I realized none of this makes sense, but I'm like 13 years old. And so we're like, and then if we were to send it the wrong direction, then we'd be off. And so I said, instead of setting the time back 1 hour, let's set it back 2 hours just to be safe. And he was like, yeah, that's a good idea. So we already wanted to wake up an hour earlier. Then we set the time back 2 hours, which we gained an hour. So we woke up 4 hours early. It felt like we had slept for 10 minutes, and we had no idea. We wake up, we get on the four-wheelers, we drive out to the place where we're going to go deer hunting. We get in the deer stand, and typically, whenever my dad was taking us hunting, we would be in the stand, and about 30 minutes later, the sun would come up. We can imagine, we don't even have a watch. I didn't even own a watch at that time, but I can tell that about 30 minutes has passed, the sun hasn't come up. An hour has passed, the sun hasn't come up. 2 hours, I'm 13 years old. 2 hours have passed, the sun hasn't come up. 3 hours, let me just jump to the end. This is what we were doing. We honestly thought, and if you grew up in the 80s like me in like an evangelical church, all you ever worried about was the rapture. So 3 hours into this, we're certain that the rapture has happened. We're completely positive, and we're praying. We're on our knees. We were singing the songs of the time. We were doing the motions. We were, some may trust in horses. And we were scared to death. We were certain that Jesus had come back, and we were praying. We had a prayer service in there. We didn't care if the deer heard us. We were speaking in tongues out loud. We were hoping that Jesus would swing back around and pick us up on his way out. I mean, it was an intense. So anyways, it was just like Thomas. When I tell you I can relate to him, I'm serious. I can relate to exactly what he went through.